Welcome, everybody, this week. Jersey Baseball Show. We've got Mike Petrowski, the pitching coach at Rider, here to talk about a variety of things. His career going up through as a Bronc, his pretty crazy summer, starting with Rider's trip to the NCAA Tournament, a couple of months with the inaugural season of the MLB Draft League, what we got from there, and some diaper changing lessons that we got at the end of the summer, and the excitement of first child born 5 weeks ago.
Correct.
And you said earlier you are getting some sleep in.
Yeah, this little guy, he's sleeping a good 6-7 hours. His first sleep at night. When he was first born, he was like 2-3. But he gives and takes, and he'll cry for a little bit before he goes to bed. And then he is a good 6-7 hours now, and then he's every 3 after that. So I can't complain. I've heard some horror stories about other babies, and
you got it good so far. Yeah,
far is pretty good. He likes to let go on dad, if you know what I mean. From the back side, just sitting. I don't know what that is about, but it's seems to do it on dad more than mom.
Smart kid.
Yeah.
I guess the big question is two questions. Is he a Yankees fan yet? And do you have him throwing lefty yet?
Great questions. First of all, yeah, he's got no choice. He's a Yankee fan. And second of all, I'm trying my best to throw anything in his left hand at any time. And Kelly will be looking at me like I'm crazy sometimes. He's only 5 weeks old, but we're trying to get that left hand as quick as possible.
It's just good parenting. There's nothing wrong with that.
As far as football, it gets a little more tricky. Kelly's whole family is Eagle fans. I'm a Cowboys fan, so that's going to be a war. I don't know what's going to happen there.
This will air on Sunday. The Eagles-Cowboys game will be tomorrow night. We'll get into the predictions later. I think you probably know where you're headed with that. And unfortunately, you're probably right too, from what I've seen so far. Cowboys are looking pretty good
so far. If they healthy.
That's the health of the quarterback's the big thing, I think, has been kind of proven. So let's start with your summer, right? Former Rider player, NCAA tournament as a player, you get the opportunity to come back a couple years ago as a pitching coach, help lead the Bronx back to the NCAA tournament for the first time in over a decade. Starting down in Louisiana, tough. Lost in the second game, right in the game until the end against a really good Alabama team. You go right from there to the MLB Draft League first season with the Trenton Thunder. So I guess tell us how that came about, and then we'll talk about some of the things that you learned or got to experience, coaching with Jeff Manto, and working with some of the top guys in the country.
Yeah, there was no time to go to the beach. That's for sure. So. We had a great year, especially end of the year for Rider. And I don't know if we even kind of predicted it would happen this fast, winning it. But it did. We went down to Louisiana Tech after obviously a unbelievable tournament in Fairfield. The fans, were definitely hostile down there. Things were said they probably can never repeat again.
It's a family show here. We can't get into it.
No. But as far as treating us with great hospitality down there was great.
Yeah.
Police escort everywhere. Great hotel, obviously, great food, and we got to witness a little bit of the Southern hospitality down there. And for me personally, it was more we got to witness big boy baseball. For these guys. I was in a regional, obviously, in Fullerton. That was a long time ago. The kids are a lot better now. But we were able to see what the level we actually have to be at coming to compete. So
not only better, but probably the biggest thing to me is more physical, more, into obviously you're training year round, I word's gotten back that one of the big things that you noticed and put a premium on is, how much bigger their guys were than your guys.
Yeah. Physicality is definitely, is important. I'm not a huge exit velocity, all that stuff. It matters. I understand it. But, they have a lot more than we do. They have nutritionists, they have smoothie bar, have this, they have that. Now, if you look at it like that, we say all the time, if you look at it, they got it more, we might as well not even do it. You're not going to do it. So basically we got to take the extra step. Actually this morning, we actually had a nutritionist talk to our team from 8 to 9, trying to get the guys to eat right, lift right. Jerry's doing a great job, our strength and conditioning guy. Nick Mark, I'm real lucky because, obviously our pitcher's lifting program is different than position player. Nick Margavich gives me his program from the Padres. So we pretty much use, state of the art, up to date programs, flexibility, mobility stuff. And, like you said, if we can get a tick or two on the mile an hour, if we could get, a couple extra balls in the gap, couple extra balls over the fence, in big situations, it could help us, get to the next level. I think that's just from the outside looking in. A couple balls were fisted from Alabama and they fell in. A couple balls we fisted just fell to the shortstop. So those things matter. And it's the extra reps you put in the weight room, the extra, the right things you eat when everybody else is, out on a Friday, Saturday. Are you eating the right way still? So I'm excited because I think our guys are doing it the right way. I know my pitchers are. I'm around them a lot more. They've really dedicated their lives. Like I say to every recruit that comes in, I don't want guys that want to play divisional baseball. I want guys that want to play pro baseball. So if you're not coming here and you're not, coming in and want to be a pro in 3 years, I want you out in 3 years. That's your goal. Then I don't really want you because I'm going to probably get on you a lot more than anybody else has got on you. We're going to get on you with detail. I'm going to push you. And if, I think if you could dedicate 3 years of your life here and you're a pro prospect, there's a good chance you can hopefully get out of here, which I think we got a couple of guys may get out of here this year. We'll see.
No, to back that experience up, you got to go right to the draft league. And, outside of the league, we probably didn't get a real good feel for the level of play there. It just wasn't, first year wasn't really publicized as well as it, probably should have been. I mean, not a whole lot of info out on rosters. And it seemed like, after the draft, obviously there was a lot of change around in rosters, but just, I guess, explain to us how good the level of play was and the numbers of guys who were drafted from the league. But also B, what do you get out of being around so many of those guys, being around, like I said, Jeff Manto, long major league career, long coaching career, that you can bring back to help guys at Rider?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Carrick Jackson, did an unbelievable job. I can't thank him enough for giving me the opportunity. I don't think people realize he got this going so late, or he didn't get it going. MLB got it going so late that guys were already signed to the Cape, the Valley, the Coastal. We were not allowed to take them out of their contracts.
Yeah, it was like October, November last year before it really even was announced.
Right. And I am placing my guys in leagues now. So
right.
We were kind of behind the 8 ball. So I didn't know what to really expect as far as talent wise goes. And it blew me away, blew Jeff away, blew Andrew, Elliott away. And, I think it was 88 as of right now, between getting drafted and signed, which is unbelievable. On our pitching staff alone, we had 10 guys signed, affiliated, and another 8 independent. So as far as work ethic, being around those guys mentally, it's funny you bring it up because the first meeting I had with my pitchers this year, I sat them down. I told them a quick story from Frederick. We were sitting in Frederick. Me and Kelly were sitting there. I think after BP, it was like 5:30, and I'm just sitting on the right side and first base side. And I don't know if you've ever been in Frederick. The locker room's on the top left, up in left field, and guys just have to walk down the steps to get down to the field. So again, we were told not to tinker with mechanics. We were told not to do, overhauls. If they came to you, you can help. So I was more like the mental side,
typical summer league stuff. I'm well aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah. But this was a little different because this is their draft stock on the line. So they didn't want us, saying, hey, he was throwing 98. Now he's throwing 93 because Coach Petrowski tinkered front side. So, yeah, but the funny part is every single guy that was drafted or signed almost everyone came up to me and asked for advice. What do you see here on my backside? What do you see here on my hip, on my front side? And at first I was like, wow, this, you know, these guys are trusting me, which is great. You know, I must be doing something right here. But anyway, back to my story. You know, it was after batting practice, I think it was around 5:30, game was at 7. And I'm just sitting up there, you know, hanging out because we got a little time. I don't want to talk to Jeff and Andrew all day long. You know, enough of them. They've talked to them about 5 hours a day. So I was sitting there with Kelly and little, you know, first one down, Oregon State guy, second guy, Oregon State, second guy or third guy drafted, fourth guy drafted, fifth guy drafted, sixth guy drafted. And there's no secret why. I mean, those guys are out there, you know, I make them get out there just at 6 to do their stuff, make sure it's done. And those guys are out there at 5:30, 5:15, going through the routine. You know, I think what I try to tell my guys all the time is it's very easy to put on a show when people are watching, when I'm watching. And those guys didn't care who's watching. They don't care what you think of the routine. They don't care how crazy you think it is. They know what works for them. And obviously it did. They were drafted. So the biggest thing that I got from that was, hey, you better work your butt off every single day. Whatever routine you have, do it at 100% when no one's watching. You know, I know everybody likes to say that when no one's watching, but are you really doing it when no one's watching? Because everybody likes to say, yeah, I do it. Okay, well, you know, they sitting up in the stands there. You know, the scouts were talking actually right next to me, a couple of them, so they noticed it. You know, and I tell my guys that are here at Rider, you know, a lot of them have a chance to get drafted. And I said, what do you think I'm going to say? I'm not going to put my reputation on the line if you're not a hard worker. I'm not going to say, oh, he's a great hard worker. You're going to get nothing but that. I'm going to tell them the truth. You know, it's just like a guy that leaves, you know, that transfers. Coach is going to call me. I'm going to tell him the truth. I can't, you know, tell him something that's not true. So I think that kind of opened some eyes on our staff on what it takes to get there. I actually gave numbers out to a few of our guys, Frank Del Garcia, a couple other guys asked for numbers of some of the kids that I coached and saw what the routine was. Like a sidearm guy, what was his routine? Frankie reached out to, you know, Al at Murray State. So, you know, I think that if you don't have a clear, and we mentioned this the other day on Twitter, if you don't have a clear understanding of what you want to do, you're not going to probably do it 100%.
Right.
And that includes detail. That includes when you do it. That includes how hard you do it. Because you may be able to compete in the MAAC once and win it. But if you just don't go at it at 100% every single year, eventually you'll finish 5th, then you'll finish 6th, and you may get back up to 3rd. I mean, we're trying to stay at the elite level. And to do that, you got to do things the right way. Now, one thing I do with our pitchers program, I do give them a little leeway to do what they want. You know, I don't like to cookie cut everybody. So if they like to throw some things in there, I let them do it. I think it's important to have some freedom as well. So, but so far, yeah, I've used a lot from the draft league. Yeah, I think you'll get into Manto and the rest of them, but what I've learned there is, you know, so valuable.
Yeah. And the things you're talking about, it's the difference between having a great season and having a great program, right? I mean, that's, you know, right. And when you have, I guess when you have that breakthrough season, it can go one of two ways. In year 2, it can, you know, you're going to get everybody's best, first of all, in the conference. And I know you can speak to this as a player as well, right? Having won it in your junior year at Rider. You know, does everybody kind of think that, hey, we won, we don't have to put in the extra work again, or is it a springboard? And I guess you're seeing right now, it's hopefully the latter, right? I mean, that's
the leadership has been the best by not even close since I've been here. I mean, you know, guys, you know, perfect example is just like the setting up VP. You know, you got Volpe, you got all the older guys hopping up. Hey, get this, you know, get this. And it's not so much a get this, it's the older guys are doing it. You know, it's very easy on a experience-led team for the guy to just say, hey, freshman, go get it. Hey, go do this, go get the ball.
That's not leadership.
No, it's not. You know, it's really not. You know, if you see pictures of like Vanderbilt, you know, cleaning their dugout,
right.
other big time teams doing stuff, the leaders are doing it. Because I really, coach brought up a great quote the other day. You have to be a follower to be a leader at some point. If you don't learn how to do it, you're never gonna be able to lead. So those guys probably saw maybe the right way to do it, the wrong way to do it. And now they know what it takes. Sometimes you just got to do it yourself. Sometimes you got to pick up the broom and broom the dugout, and eventually the guys that are underneath you that are younger and be like, wow, I can't not do it. I'm going to look like an idiot. So I got to do my job. The leadership's been great. We haven't had any issues so far. Hopefully this continues through February.
Ryder's in a position it hasn't been in a while, defending MAAC champs, in a conference that's got probably more quality players than it has in years, if not ever, right? First time ever a 2-bid league last year, which is great. For any Northeast league to be a 2, to get an at-large team as well. From your experience going through it as a player, what can you kind of clue these guys in on, tell these guys, talk to these guys about to make sure that they fully aware that, everybody in the league, but certainly the Monmouths, the Fairfields, the Marist, the Canisius, the teams that were, in the almost there last year, they're all going to be gunning for them every week.
Right. So first of all, I think it's a different mindset. So what those teams are thinking of, especially if they haven't won in a while, which I believe, the top 4 or 5 teams that you mentioned haven't, there's a hunger there that is a different hunger that we want. So their hunger is, listen, we want to make history. We want to win the MAAC. We want to put our name back on the board. We want to put our, helps recruiting, helps everything. We're there. We've done it. Now, do you want to take the next step? So we know that we have to win the MAAC most likely to get to that next step. But your hunger's got to be, all right, that dog pile was great. We want it again. We got to get back there. But also when we get back there, we want to take the next step. We don't want to just be on a 2-day hotel stint in Ruston, Louisiana. You want to be there 4 or 5 days and get on a plane and go somewhere else for a super regional. And me personally, just slightly off topic, but I coach and played to play in the biggest games in the highest level. There's I don't know where my last stop will be coaching wise. I don't know. But I want to play in the biggest games on the biggest stage where everybody's watching. And I think that's why you play sports. Now there's nothing wrong with people wanting to be somewhere their whole life, somewhere, and be mediocre their whole life. That's fine. If it's comfortability for their family, I get it. I get it. But, I want our guys to think special, we had one rider team go to the World Series. I know it was a little different setup back then. So, if we were ever able to get to the regional, super regionals, and then, hey, who knows, ever World Series, it's probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest feat in rider history. So, you always want to be, I think for me, be remembered, as a team that did something that no one else did. And if you keep your eye on that prize, I think you can get there. If you kind of fade away from it and you kind of think, well, oh man, Marist is gonna be good. Monmouth's got all these pitchers back, this and that. Yeah, they're great teams. But if you kind of think we don't have a chance to beat these guys, or it's their turn to win, it's probably gonna be their turn to win. By the way, your Pumped It Up broadcast or Pumped It Up song at the beginning of this podcast is not good for our rider guys. That was the song they played 18 times at Louisiana Tech when they scored. So I cringe.
We will not include that on this one. Then we will. Bad memories, bad association. We won't do it. Make mental note, not include that on anything with rider. January 22nd is a special day coming up in the winter. That's first pitch dinner, ring day, right? That was just announced. What's that going to mean to you to see all the guys get their rings?
Yeah, I think for me personally, I think everybody has a different idea of this stuff. It's okay to think differently. For me, it's that's the last time you think of last year.
Yep.
It's behind you. I get to see the guys that I really love, especially pitchers that I was around, Petey, Sebastian, and then the old players that were here. hopefully we're hoping Rayburn can get up here. We'll see. But it's a last chance to really celebrate. That was something that was unbelievably special. But for me, when you walk out of there at 9:00, it's like Kevin in Home Alone. It's on. You're ready to go to the next thing here, and we're looking to the next season.
It really comes at the right time, because it's really just kind of the start of it's the start of practice, and kind of gives you that final closure for guys that aren't back. Like I said, Pete and Sebastian and
Right.
guys like that. So it's certainly going to be fun, exciting. And what have you seen so far this fall, sort of as an overview, team wise? Seems like everybody's getting after it, and the pitching looks like you got some guys back this year that weren't around last year because of injury, and should be an exciting time depth wise at Ryder too.
Yeah, I mean, we got three guys at Tommy John: Sakis, Hine, Vitaco. Vitaco was our closer. Hine was a weekend guy, and Sakis could be probably either. So three big time arms that we got back. I mean, Hine was there the other day throwing in the inter squad. Looked great. Looked just what I was hoping he would be. Sakis hasn't come back yet throwing. He'll be back throwing. He'll be ready to go for the season, but he doesn't throw pens till January. Vinny's back. He'll throw this week. So it's an exciting time for me to know that I don't think many people realize we had 18 on the staff last year. We only had 11 for the whole year. We only had 11 guys. So to win it with 11 guys is pretty cool. I always take what John Savage from UCLA said. I think he said a great staff uses 8-9 guys. 8-9. If you're using 17, 18 guys, there's something wrong. You're running guys out there every day. So if you use 8-9 guys, which is what I'm hoping we do if we stay healthy, that's a good thing. I think everybody's like, wow, you only have 14 pitchers on the staff. What are you guys going to do? I mean, if I'm using 14, 15 guys, we're probably in trouble. So,
Yeah.
It's a constant competition. I think they know roles are not given. Even a Frankie Doling who shut down Alabama, he knows he's got to work, and if it's not to work to be a weekend guy, you're working to get your name called in June. There's always a goal for our guys, and I'm not a big write your goal down. I mean, if I have to see your goal, then I don't know, it's just kind of eyewash to me. I mean, just have the goal in your head and work towards it every single day. So, and I think, like we get there 7:30 to 9 every day. I would imagine nobody else in the country is doing it that early, every single day. I mean, we're working when the sun's coming up, and coach has done a great job just giving the keys to me and letting me do what I want with them before practice. And there's no one around. It's me and 14 guys, and it's the fall is a time for mechanical stuff a little bit. Working on things, and then once spring comes, I don't really like to talk too much mechanics. We like to just let them loose and let them perform. So
you mentioned Frank Doling. You are your first college head coaching job at RCBC coincide with his first year of college down there. So you've had him 1 year longer than everybody at Ryder. What makes him so special beyond, obviously he's got good stuff. He's got explosive stuff, but what makes him special beyond that?
Well, first of all, his parents are probably the best people in the world. I mean, they're great. So it's no surprise how
confirm that as well. Yes.
Yeah, it's no surprise how Frank is as a kid, and when we recruit, big thing we look at is parents now. I personally, I like to meet them, see what we're dealing with. But as far as a worker, I don't think Frank ate the right way in the past. I think he did some things, like he just kind of relied on his talent. And now Frank is just, he works. The best thing he did is work with Cal. Cal's a beast in a weight room, and they've worked out all summer. I know Frank's eating the right way now. We basically sat him down. We sat them all down at the end of the year. I said, what do you want to do here, Frank? You want your name called in June. You got to dedicate your life here for a year. And to get to that goal. The Hoagie Haven visits at midnight are not going to work. We need maybe go to Panera and get a salad at midnight.
Unfortunately, I could confirm that too. That's no good either. Yeah.
Off work. But as far as Frank on the mound, listen, Frank would yes me to death whatever I said. I think he, is obviously the longest pitching coach he's had. And last year, I think you mentioned on another podcast, the Siena game, he came in the dugout and I got on him in the first inning, about something. And he yelled right back at me. And I said, no, man, I turned to coach. I said, all right, he's here. He's arrived now, cause he kind of just went out there. It's hard to explain. You'll have guys that go out there and pitch and just happy to get the hell off the mound. And you're like, all right, I'm done. And then you have guys that, all right, this is my mound. This is my game. You're not going to tell me what I'm going to do. I'm going to dominate this game. And he's such a nice kid. An inning later, he came up to me and he said, "Oh, coach, I'm really sorry." I said, "No, man, I don't want you to be sorry. I want that in you." I mean, there's every pitcher in the world that's great. I did not see, going over to pat him on the back when he hits him. I don't see that going on. Just give me the back, get on the mound. I'm going to strike the next guy out. So I think the toughness part, we really try to instill a lot. I mean, you know me as a person, but we really try to not get out toughness. I don't know if that's even a word. Out tough when we pitch. I mean, we want to be the toughest guys on the mound, mentally, physically, everything. Because I think, to pitch in front of 10,000 people in a regional, and frankly, that's a small regional. If you go play at Duty or you go play at Arkansas, you're going to play in front of a lot more. So, you better be mentally tough. You're going to pitch at that level. So everything we kind of preach is for the end goal. When you're there, when it really matters, it's anybody can pitch in front of 10 people, in a March 30th game in the MAAC, but can you pitch in front of 20,000 people when it's 85 degrees and you got the top prospect in the country leading off in a regional game? It's a big difference.
Not 20,000 home fans either.
No,
that don't work that way in college in the Northeast.
Exactly.
So Cowboys Eagles next week. We're kind of at the end here. Tomorrow. What's our prediction?
All right, Cowboys are going to win. I mean, there's no home game. Listen, one thing I say about the Cowboys, and everybody, I've watched them for I'm 34, but I've watched them for 27 years, something like that, religiously. I don't expect anything out of them ever anymore. So that first game of the year, I knew they would play great. No one expected them to win. I knew they'd play great. And then we'll go roll out there against the Lions or something and we'll lose by 2 touchdowns. Yeah. So pick the Cowboys, you don't even bother. So to have a predict, I hope they win. I don't know. The clock management was awfully shaky by our head coach last week.
Got kind of bailed out by the kicker a little bit.
Yeah. So I don't really, I don't know. I hope it gets better as far as leadership goes, because that's a big part of it. I think me and one of my good friends, we're both Cowboy fans. We'll text during a game, and it's always the same. There's always a dumb penalty. 4th and 5th punt, we rough the kicker. It's just, and I think that personally for me, that's a leadership issue. Yeah. Really getting on guys. Are they mentally like, what are we doing here? I never see Bill Belichick's teams do that.
No.
So, I mean, I know you guys have some bonehead plays at times too, but you just don't see it from good coaches and leaders. And we'll see. I don't know.
When you watch these other sports, I mean, when you see, it's funny you mentioned that. I mean, do you think of how those things kind of can correlate over to your coaching?
No, 100%. I mean, Kelly thinks I'm crazy. I watched the Nick Saban documentary like 4 straight times at the end. I watched the last minute of it 4 straight times just to give me shelter part. And I don't know if you watched it. And how those guys are they just constantly are driven by winning, doing it the right way. There's no mistake why they're there. I mean, Coach Davis is he'll be a motivational speaker here, and as soon as he's done coaching, and he's a great speaker. As far as winning goes and talking on how to win and your mindset every day. But those guys, I mean, they don't take a detail off. Nick Saban, Bill Belichick. I've gotten pretty close with Chris Fetter, the Tigers coach, former Michigan coach, and everything they say is not like anytime, like I talk to Fetter, it's never about, it's always about winning. Yes. But it's never, what was the end result? Right. A message I asked them last year is we're leading the country in ERA right away. He said, I would not even bring that up. I mean, you're not leading the country in ERA. What are you doing that you're there? What are you doing to stay there? And it's, it's always the process. Like people like to talk about that word all the time, process. But it really is. If you're not doing the same thing over and over every day, if you're not preaching the same thing over and over every day, coach always says that to me and Lee. He wants us preaching what he says. If everybody's on the same line, you'll be successful. And it's easy to do.
It's not the end result. It's what's the process that gets you to the end result. Is what
exactly. Right.
We again got to spend some time today with Coach Mike Petrowski over at Ryder, MLB Draft League, Trenton Thunder, as well, and new father. Diaper changing skills, rate him from 1 to 10.
Oh, 10.5.
Speed and accuracy is what you're saying.
What's that?
You got speed and accuracy.
He has speed. He's shot me a few times already. He definitely has speed and accuracy. As far as I do, no. How I know mine is not as good as Kelly's is he'll have a blowout and it'll go up his back. Kelly's just stays in the diaper.
Stays where it's supposed to.
Yeah, I got some work to do.
You got to work on that. You got to work on that process too. That's right.
I want to bring out the tape next time, just taping around his stomach, but that doesn't work.
No. I appreciate it, Mike. Certainly wish you the best. We will see you in a couple weeks, right? October 2nd. You guys host Mercer, and the week after Gloucester, right?
Correct. First of all, I should say this at the beginning. Thank you for all you're doing for New Jersey baseball. I mean, this is unbelievable. The path you're doing here, promoting these guys. I mean, this is one of the best baseball states in the country, if not the best. And what you're doing promoting is huge. I think, college baseball is a hidden gem in this country. And you promoting it hopefully brings it to the forefront.
And in this state for sure.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
We appreciate the time as always. We will we'll see you up at the field in a week or so, and keep Volpe in line for us.
I will.
All right, thanks, Mike.